welcome back to the Ink Sink. I am Annie.
I'm Kaylee.
This is the publishing podcast for the rest of us, where we cover books and news and writing and reading, and we are so excited to bring you today our favorite news.
That's right.
Kaylee, just one of the stories that I've ever sent you. It is
certainly a story that I've read. The story, the most
one
story.
One of the most opinions that I've ever seen.
Thoughts?
There are thoughts in here. We're going to start this off. I want to be clear. We're about to start off with some very petty heckling.
A little bit.
But we're going to go into a
I'm
real
sure he's crying
story.
all the way to the bank.
Yeah. So Kaylee, let's pull this back. Kaylee, who is Fabio?
Okay. Annie, I'm so glad you asked because this question has definitely come up many, many times. So Fabio, of course, being the model / inspiration for many, many romance novel covers.
In a literal sense, for those who are younger, he was the guy on the cover.
So many.
Yeah.
So many.
To the point where it became a meme.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Before the internet. You know how difficult it was to have memes before the internet?
I mean, it happened, as you can see, but, it was very rare.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, not only did he become a fad, he also wrote his own absurd romance novels with
you read those?
No.
I have not either.
No, I guess maybe I had finally, when I was a kid, romance novels were the only things that my mom had in the house until about 5th grade when I put my foot down. And I was like, we need to go to the library or the bookstore. I need some Goosebumps. I need something else, literally. And I would leave with, a stack of books every time because I needed something besides. It's the same story.
Fabio.
It's the same story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she never, I guess, got into those. Oh, good. Thankfully, she actually was a big fan of the Outlander series when I was a kid.
Good.
So, but yeah, no, I did not, and I'm okay with that, especially now because what on earth? And so I just want to say also, this man is also the man who got hit in the face on the inaugural roller coaster ride after Six Flags opened up again.
By a bird.
And I feel bad for the bird. I'm sure it didn't do well by that, but also
you can Google that. We'll put it into the notes.
It stayed in the news cycle so much longer than it probably should have because of his presence.
Hilarious.
Anyway,
so Fabio went on to Fox and Friends, and he was on a segment talking about just trends in the romance genre, and I think that this is one of those things that is accurate and actually a good thing. There has been a trend in the romance genre of more kind and empathetic male heroes, and Fabio says. He says the idea, or I'm going to quote from this article from The Messenger. He said the idea that male characters would show their sensitive sides is, quote, hogwash. He told the New York Post, instead of considering the cultural and social and societal changes that have made it easier to portray men in a different light, he whittles it down to a trend. The culprits, according to Fabio, the political far left and the Biden administration.
Just to be clear, this is not a recent thing. But also, Joe Biden. Thanks, Biden.
It's all Biden's fault.
Is this a spiritual successor to thanks Obama?
Definitely.
Does Biden have powers, you guys? Did Biden go back in time and somehow whisper in someone's... The heck? Oh my god, it's so silly. Joe Biden.
I
just... But what?
Yeah. Dude, so Fabio went on Fox and Friends and was like, Joe Biden is the reason that we have cinnamon roll heroes protagonists
in our romance novels
now.
What? Which is baffling.
I laughed so hard when I saw that.
I know. I also, when you sent me this article, I was like, I just startled myself into laughter because of just the sheer unexpected nature of who was the culprit, the person under the mask.
It's right. It's been Biden. It's
this whole time. I would have gotten away with it
if it weren't for this meddling Fabio. So I do want to actually, just because I don't like being negative, we are going to talk probably on a future episode about romance trends in general. But I think it is absolutely true that in the past, 5 to 10 years, the like cinnamon roll hero has really, really come to the fore. I think that in Fabio's time, we were looking at romance books that were bodice rippers in the like
Literal.
derogatory sense. Like we're talking about forced romance. We don't need to be censoring anything else, but basically like the romance heroes of Fabio's books were not cinnamon rolls. And for some reason, I think that he's saying that there's a political correctness that goes along with these men that people like. And I don't know if that's the case. Like, I think it's way healthier to have someone to be with a man that you like than to be with a man who is going to force you into anything. Maybe I'm the crazy one.
Baffling. Annie, Biden's gotten to you.
Yes! Oh,
Joe
no!
Biden got to you in the far left.
Oh, God, it is so weird.
That was what? Joe Biden. I'm sorry. Like, what? What a choice. What a choice.
But for those who are interested in this topic, I am adding it to the list of episodes for me to do more research on, because I do think that it is a fascinating look at society in general, looking at the trends of our romance.
And,
sure.
and to be fair, like, I recently recommended a novel that was an action romance to you that I enjoyed thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you enjoyed thoroughly.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
It's not like we don't read romance novels. It's just that we pick the ones we like. Go figure.
Wacky. It's wacky, isn't it? All right, moving on to news. We got to talk about news.
I like news about news, Annie.
Hell yeah. So every year, Reuters, which is a news company, publishes what it calls the Digital News Report, and it looks at statistics for news across the world, across age groups, across formats. And there were some interesting insights this year. This comes to us from What's New in Publishing. Kaylee, did you find anything really interesting that you liked?
I actually did, yes. So one of the things that they discussed through their questions was essentially what this was like, you know, how do you feel about like algorithms that will provide you news that's specific to you? So this is over-personalization is actually the
that's
term
what
that
they call
used.
it, yeah.
And people were like, no, it's concerning. Like, it would actually concern me because I would be worried that I would miss stuff that I don't normally read about, but they're big incidents, or stuff that is contrasting views that would, you know, because we need that. Like, we need that mental, like, discourse to make sure that we're not, again, getting stuck in an echo chamber. I thought, so everything in here was interesting, but, like, nothing else was especially, like, surprising to me. It did seem like things are kind of holding steady with conclusions that are, we talked about the Reuters report last year,
mm-hmm.
and it feels pretty much like a consistent, like, it's just things are getting more and more, like, easy to define on these, like, areas that it's talking about. But that was the thing that kind of was most interesting to me because it was something that I hadn't seen in, like, the prior, like, article.
I agree. I thought that was really interesting as well, that people said they worry about over-personalization because they're missing out on important things and things that they might disagree with.
Which I also